Hey guys, Chris again from ClassicVWBugs.com, and in this tip I'm going to show you how to replace your battery tray area on your VW Beetle. This is a common area that rots on bugs due to the battery acid that leaks out over time from the battery and onto the metal and eats away the metal. What you can see I'm doing here is I'm using a piece of chalk and I'm mapping out where I'm going to cut the bad metal off. You want to keep as much good metal as possible and just make a good section, a good clean square section to cut off the rotted metal, the weak metal. And what I'm going to use is a brand new replacement battery section that they sell for these cars. It's a common area that always rots, and it's also one of the areas you want to inspect before you buy one of your cars, buy your bug at least. Here's a new battery pan section. They do sell just the battery section, but I bought the whole rear quarter section. But what I'm doing here is I'm going to cut off the section I need. And you want to make sure on this new section you're a good ½ inch longer, bigger, just because you need it to overlap the old section that's going to be cut out, and you need that support. Here's a couple tools that I bought from, but this one's by Milwaukee. It's like a cutting wheel utility. It's good for cutting. You gotta buy a bunch of those discs, for metal, 5-inch discs. This is a Sawzall by Rigid. This is also good to use. Either one of these will work. The Sawzall is real good because you can get it to tight corners and make curves. This is more of a straight cutter sort of thing. But you want to buy a bunch of these discs because they're gonna go down pretty fast. You see, I'm using the Sawzall right now to cut. You see it's a little jagged. You got to put some, you got to, try to keep it straight. This utility is much easier. It keeps the line straight. Just make sure you're wearing gloves and goggles when you're doing this. I'm not even wearing gloves here, but don't do what I did. You want to make sure you're wearing gloves. And if you never worked with these tools before, please just ask a professional or have someone show you how to do it, because last thing we want is someone to get hurt. Those were safety glasses I just showed back there, or you can use goggles. Now I'm wearing gloves now, as you can see. And you see, this tool is really good for, for cutting straight lines, and really gets the job done fast and a nice clean line. The Sawzall is more of a, you can cut up whole cars with this thing, but to get into tight areas, curves, things like that, that blade will actually bend a bit, So as you can see, it's a very powerful tool. You're gonna probably want to buy a bunch of blades for this as well. You see, I can make a turn with this and cut off that whole piece of metal there. And I'm just getting the other tool out again, just to get some of the straight areas cut. You see the wheels winding down, pretty small. Time to get a new one. Here's the Sawzall again on the turn, which makes it much easier to cut. Okay, and just about done with that. Gone. Good. Okay, so there's your bad section cut out. Remember, you just want to take out the rotted areas. You don't want to take out the strong metal. You want to keep as much strong metal as possible. Now I'm fitting up the pan here. Now these are aftermarket pans, and remember, it's going to be tough sometimes to be a perfect fit right off the bat. So what I'm doing here is I'm masking off, I'm tracing off some sections here to cut on the new pan so it fits better into the battery area. Like I said, some of these aftermarket parts just don't fit right, and you're gonna have to modify them a little bit to make them fit right. So I sketched out some lines here to cut off. You can see that wheel's cutting very nicely, and there she goes. Now when you want to pop it in there, and I just get a nice big hammer and hammer it down into place. It's gonna bend. You're gonna want to shape it. If it still is a little stubborn getting into place, make some more tweaks like I'm doing here. I have to cut off a little more actually. Just use a piece of chalk. I use a cinder block or whatever to put those pans on to cut them. And then see, I'm also using the hammer here to shape the metal on the pan, the existing pan, just so the new pan will work. Don't worry about banging it back too far, because later on when you get underneath the car you're going to have to bang the metal back. As you can see, the pan's starting to fit a little bit better now. I'm getting it into the corners, I'm shaping it, and pretty much now we're ready to weld it in. But before you do that, on my Milwaukee little wheel here, or you can use a wire wheel, we're going to take the paint off the pan, because if you're going to weld, you need metal to metal. It's got to be down to metal. It can't have any paint on it, because you're not going to get a clean weld if you have paint on it. So you want to take all the paint off of where you're going to be welding. So there's a grinding wheel that they sell for this tool, and you can see I'm doing it on both areas, on the floor pan and on the battery, the new battery tray. Again, wear gloves and goggles. Don't want anything flying in your face. See, nice and clean. Both surfaces have to be clean, so the weld, mends together. Now this welder is a basic welder. I picked this up at Walmart for like, I don't know, $200-300. You could probably get them on eBay even cheaper. It's a wire welder. It's a basic welder. If you've never welded before, there's plenty of how-to videos out there, probably either on YouTube or a DVD, to learn how to weld. This is pretty simple to use. You just put the two pieces together and make sure they're close. And this is the mask that came with the unit, but I bought a helmet just for better safety reasons. But now basically, you don't want to ever not weld without a helmet on. You need a helmet or that welding masks, because you don't want to look into the weld while you're welding. And I have my father there. He has see that bar? He's pressing down on the metal, on the sheet metal, to the pan, so it's close and married together. And I start welding the two areas. It'll get hot, and all you want to do is make a spot weld, just a little bead. Okay, just a little dot, and you do it every so many inches. Now don't worry about if it's not too close just yet. You'll keep working at it. You see I'm welding here more, few inches apart, nothing crazy right now. Now that you have those welds down, now you can use your hammer and start hammering away, because you have more. Now that the pan is held into place in one area, it's going to be easier now for the pan to get shaped into the area you cut out. As you can see here, I did my spot welds. Like I said, don't worry about if the pan's a little too far away on some spots. You hammer that back down. The more places you weld, the better it is to get the pan closer to the existing pan for better welds. And basically you just work this whole process all the way around. So now I just start welding a little inch or so apart, little spot welds. Don't touch this with your hand or anything right afterwards, because it is hot. See, those are a little bit closer on the bends, on the turns. You see them in some of the tight areas here. We can use a tool to hold down the metal and shape it better. See, just push it down, bang it in place again, just keep working at it all the way around. It's like art, you see. Some artists actually do weld and make amazing sculptures. But here's another section we just held down with like a chisel, held that in place. Now that's married together. And there you have it. Just work yourself all the way around. This is going to take some time. If you've never done it before, just take your time. There's no rush with this. You want to do it right, and you do little spot welds all the way around, and just keep hammering and move it closer, hammering, moving closer, spot weld, and yada yada. You just work your way all the way around. Then after you weld, you want to use a wire brush to clean off all those welds. Now here's a seal, like a vinyl seal or like a paintable seal that you can get at Home Depot that goes into a paint, like a little gun here. And you want to use a sealer to seal off where the new pan is married to the old pan, just basically to weatherproof it, and to just for protection as well, and so it doesn't rust or rot. And I just basically put a bead down. You can get these tubes for like a couple bucks at Home Depot. There's different variations of it, but this is something that's like for for automotive use, for windows, for household use, things like that. And this will get nice and hard, and it'll be like a good weatherproofing. Just keep working your way around. Sometimes I just use a paint stick now to just wedge it underneath, as you can see here. That'll probably dry overnight, and then afterwards it's paintable, so that's good. So then you use a rust preventative paint to go on top of that. It's just your basic sealer. You don't need anything fancy. I know they sell some other ones that are like $10 or $20 a tube, but this was like a $2-3 tube, and you'll be fine with this. Now underneath, we have this car up on a lift. You might not have a lift, but some people just bang the outer lip down to the new metal and then put a sealer on it. But we're actually going to weld it. You might not, where if you're at your house or something and you don't have a jack to get the car up high enough, you might not be able to do this. But if you do have access to a jack to jack the car up high enough, you can do this all right. We have it on the lift to show it a little bit easier. Just like we did it on the inside, you're going to do the same on the outside. Just bang the outer lip down to the new metal. Might be a little stubborn in some spots, but see this one area, you would just push it up, just like my father's doing. Hit the weld on it, and then just keep working your way around. See, pushing it up, do a spot weld. Move a few inches, push it up again, do another spot weld, and so on. See? I would definitely practice on some spare metal first before doing any sort of welding if you've never welded before. And there you go, just all the way around. And you do the same thing like we did on the inside. Then you get a sealer. So here's that wire brush that I was telling you about before. You want to put a wire brush on all these spot welds to clean it up and make sure it's then down to metal. It's shiny. And then you can put your sealer on it. See, nice and clean. There's our sealer. It's a universal sealer, like I said. A couple bucks. My dad is using a squeegee to fit it into those crevices there. Like a nice smooth look without showing a bead, really. Makes it look a little bit nicer after you paint it with a rust preventative paint. And here's the POR 15 that I always use. It's about 40-50 bucks a can for the quart. I get always the gloss black, and this is what will, basically stop your car from rusting ever again. Use a brush that's cheap that you're gonna want to throw out because you'll never be able to use the brush again. Make sure you wear long clothing and gloves, because if this stuff gets on you, it's only a matter of time, like sometimes a good month before it actually comes off your skin. We coat all our pans with this, and see, it looks brand new. Looks nice. And that's all there is to it. We do this to all our pans on our Volkswagens, and I definitely recommend it. We even do it on the luggage area. Any questions? Chris at ClassicVWBugs.com.